Hey guys, it's Minty here, and welcome to yet another episode of Mintys Sunday Memorabilia, where today I'm talking about my Star Wars memorabilia. So naturally, today, because I'm talking about Star Wars, I decided to wear my Superman t-shirt because, that's right, I have no idea why. So anyway, with that, let's get on with my Star Wars memorabilia episode. Oh yeah, the smell of it. So first up, I'm just going to start by saying that when it sort of comes to the Star Wars memorabilia, I like the older vintage stuff. So I'm going to start off with the records. Here we have this Star Wars record. Got the silver font there. It's like it's trying to look like the official Star Wars logo, but obviously due to copyright issues, it can't quite look like the Star Wars logo. It's the Star Wars music that's performed by the London Symphony Orchestra. There's only a handful of songs on here. It's worth listening to. It doesn't sound as good as John Williams. When John Williams is conducting, I feel like he has a lot of power behind his score. But listen, it still has some really cool soundtracks, and it's still, well, you know, it's Star Wars. But my favourite one is Disco Star Wars, of course. Let's get it out so you can have a look. Yep, the Disco Star Wars theme by Mecca, with this awesome, and I mean awesome, record cover, with some of my favourite bits from Star Wars on this cover. Like the bit with the guy with the purple spacesuit and orange underpants was sort of doing this bum hip dancing with the girl with the fish bowl on her head and the orange spacesuit and the 1950s rocket. Yeah, let's be honest, this looks nothing like the film. I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe that's Mos Eisley. Kind of looks a bit like Cloud City, I don't know. But what does it matter? It's Disco Star Wars. What's not to love about Disco Star Wars? And interestingly, I just noticed that it's released by RCA, which I believe was owned by Columbia Pictures and released a lot of Columbia Pictures. Like when Ghostbusters, the movie, would get released on home video, it was released under RCA. So that's pretty cool. Now this isn't really Star Warsy, but we've also got the Superman disco vinyl here. The reason I'm adding this is because it's got the Superman disco theme on it, but it's also got Star Wars and Close Encounters, so yeah, I knew the t-shirt would come in handy. Here we have the Rolling Stone magazine that published about Star Wars when Star Wars was released in 1977, and it features an interview with George Lucas. I picked this up at a market, like I believe in the UK they're called car boot sale markets. Here they're just called trash and treasure markets. I got it for about $5. Probably worth a lot more than that because it's in mint condition. Here, just don't know if you can see, we got some production photos there. I've glanced through the George Lucas interview. I haven't really gotten into it too much because I don't really want to handle it too much. I want to keep it in a sort of plastic sleeve here because I don't want to risk ruining it or tearing any of the pages or spoiling any of the paper. I don't know if you can see down here, but we've got some mold happening. But it's just great seeing, you know, this Rolling Stone magazine with its old logo with the original Star Wars crew there. The interview is interesting. I said I glimpsed through it. It's interesting seeing George Lucas at a time when he was more humble, I guess. Here we have this Stormtrooper figurine that was released by Kenner. This was Star Wars re-release, Power of the Force, that came out during the 90s. I believe it was 95, where they spruced up the figures a bit, made them bigger, gave them more detail. So we've got this Stormtrooper here. Not as magical as the original 70s version, even though, once again, it does look better. Nothing will beat the original ones. And of course, here we've got grumpy old Luke Skywalker here. So we can have 2017 grumpy Luke Skywalker do battle with a much larger 1977 Stormtrooper. See how that battle goes. When it comes to the figurines, I think my favourite one is this Darth Vader doll. This was released when The Force Awakens came out. That's why it's got the little Disney logo there. I just like it. It's not too light, but not too heavy. It feels just right. You can take him out the box if you want him to and say, "Luke, I am your toaster." Don't know what the hell that means. My favourite in the collection, and the one that I think is the most important, this VHS of Star Wars, which is unedited. This is Star Wars before it was A New Hope. To me, it'll never be A New Hope. It will always be Star Wars. When I was a kid and I used to watch it, I would ask my parents to put on Star Wars. I never said, "Can you put on Episode 4 A New Hope?" So this is before there were any edits made to the video, and I love the cover. There were two secondary Star Wars posters. There was that one there, where it looks sort of cartoony and space age. And then there's this one, which I call the sexy poster. Because you got Princess Leia there, she's looking really hot, and her skirt's like going really high up her leg. And then you got Luke Skywalker here, and his shirt's all unbuttoned, and he's all, got this muscular torso. So yeah, this is what I call the sexy Star Wars poster, and I call that the cartoon science fiction poster. But yeah, I like the cover. I have actually watched this, and it actually does kind of look, the picture looks very handheld camera guerrilla style filmmaking, because once again, this is before there were any cleanups to the picture. This is before they sort of widescreened it, so if there's a shot of someone, you're right there. There's no sort of landscapes. You're right in, like in particular, the scene where Luke and Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru are drinking the blue milk. In that scene, they're talking, and Luke's talking about getting out of there. Every time it goes into one of the characters, you're pretty much up their nose. Like, it is so close. Once again, the text scroll does not start off with Episode 4 A New Hope. And the text scroll this is very nerdy and nitpicky, but the text scroll isn't the sort of yellow that we know it is now. It was almost sort of orangey. But the most interesting thing about this original, unaltered cut of Star Wars is the lightsaber. Now, there is a channel on YouTube called Retro Blasting, which reviews old toys, and I love this channel. It is one of my favourite channels ever. And they did a video about the ambiguity behind the colour of Luke's lightsaber when Kenner released toys for Star Wars in the late 70s and early 80s. I believe the video was called "Don't Eat the Yellow Lightsaber," because some of the toys came out with yellow lightsabers, despite the fact that we now know the lightsaber to be blue and the other one to be red. This video that is all about the ambiguity behind what is the colour of the lightsaber, why was it yellow in some of the promotional stuff. No Word of a Lie is one of my favourite videos on YouTube ever, where Michael, I believe his name is, of Retro Blasting, goes in to talk about some of the figurines and early toys for Star Wars that had yellow lightsabers. I believe the answer might lie here. I might have cracked the code, probably didn't, because in this original cut, in this VHS, I'm not kidding, the lightsaber's white. There is absolutely no colour. There is two lightsabers, and there's actually three. There's Darth Vader's, which is red, but there's also Obi-Wan and Luke's lightsabers, and both of them are white. It makes me wonder, either this VHS is really, really old and some colour has really gone out of the picture, or maybe there was a time before certain touches were made where the lightsaber actually was white. Maybe the very first time Star Wars was ever screened, maybe they were white. I don't know. Now I'm going to show you my favourite Star Wars collectible, but I'm going to have to take you into another room because it's too big. So, let's go. Sorry about the shakiness, because I'm doing this handheld, but here I have my almost life-size R2-D2. He looks pretty cool there, right? Let's press his buttons. So as you can hear, it's got the sound effects from the movie, and it sounds great. There we go, I love it how that lights up. That's awesome. Oh, hell yeah. Alright guys, well that was this episode of Star Wars Memorabilia. Stay tuned next week when I talk about my Hot Wheels collection. Alright, see ya.